10 signs that you've been emotionally discarded by a narcissist. Fun stuff, right? Yes. Well, the first thing is you might have caused a narcissistic injury. What is a narcissistic injury, you might ask? Well, a narcissist doesn't really feel the way that most people feel. So we know that by and large, narcissists don't have empathy. And if they do, it's very little, or guilt. And if they do, it's very little because they quickly blame shift. So the way they feel is on a spectrum. So a narcissistic injury is basically where their feelings got hurt, right? You could have hurt their feelings in a number of ways, and it all comes down to control. When you're not playing their game the way they want you to play their game, and their rules are always changing, by the way, so you have to be psychic to constantly be chasing the barometer that they've set in their imagination. So that's why this sets you up for failure from the get-go. Okay, you're always damned if you do, damned if you don't with a narcissist, and I'll tell you a personal story about that. Don't mind if I do in a little bit. So stay tuned, because knowledge is power. I need a sip of coffee. So is coffee. Coffee's power as well. Okay, so a narcissistic injury. You might have caused one, hurt their feelings. Okay, I'll give you an example. I was dating a narcissist, and oh my gosh, he had discarded me numerous times. I didn't realize he was a narcissist. And then I allowed the Hoover. I went back. A Hoover, if you don't know, is when they suck you back in literally with, I'm sorry, and I made a big mistake, and future faking, making big plans. So he brought me back into his lair of deception like a narcissist does. Well, then on one YouTube video, I had mentioned I was dating someone. I wasn't specific. I didn't say I have a boyfriend. I just said I was dating someone. Totally freaked out. He's like, I don't know if you should say that, and your other subs might not like that, and it's attractive to be single and everything. I was like, uh-oh. He's already getting weird. Then the next thing, I could tell he was emotionally withdrawing because we were both on trips right after we had decided to try to date each other exclusively. And I get a text that's like, are you weird? Are you feeling weird? Are you feeling some type of way? I was like, no, are you? I'm always feeling some type of way because I'm a human being. But are you, Narky Narkerson? He's like, some type of way. I'm feeling some type of way. But then he didn't admit it. But see, for a narcissist, if they're feeling anything, they're like, abandon ship. So that was my sign too. But then when we got back from the trip, we met up and had a very casual lunch where I ran into a friend of mine that I hadn't seen since pre-pandemic. Okay. So this was somebody that had a coffee shop right near a theater. The theater, when I had the brick and mortar, an old, it was actually even before the pandemic, because it was like a couple buildings ago. Anyhow, I hadn't seen this person in a long time. And I gave him a hug, and I could feel Narky Narkerson's like eyeballs through the back of my head. Like I had really caused an injury. He was not happy. He was feeling some type of way. I could feel it. And then I didn't know what to do, because we had just said we were dating and we hadn't announced it to our kids yet. And we weren't acting like that in front of our kids or anything. And because he had freaked out that I'd said I was dating someone on YouTube, I introduced him as my friend. At which point, laser beam, he was like, F you, Leah. I could feel it. And I knew I caused a narcissistic injury. I didn't know how bad it would be until he discarded me 2 days later and went off with his old or new supply, whatever. His new supply, old supply, recycled supply, right? And has been with this person ever since, with probably other supply and whatever. But that's how you can tell, is if you feel these things, their eyes in the back of your head, you've caused a narcissistic injury, that is a telltale sign that you're going to be at least emotionally discarded, if not physically. Most of the time, both if they can. But if you're married, often they just do the emotional discard because that's easier. Silent treatment, cold shoulder, you'll never know what happened, and they'll blame shift, right? So number 2 is you don't give into their false reality, their false identity. So another sign that I saw with this guy was when we were both on different trips right after we had decided to try to date exclusively. Did not last long, lasted 2 quick, really fast dates, one with our kids. So in any case, when we were on these trips, he was gonna go diving, and he had sent me a text that's like, there's great whites in the water where I'm gonna be diving, and I hope I don't die. And I could tell that was a test text. So I knew I was being emotionally discarded, and I knew I was being tested. It's like, how is she going to respond compared to my other supply sources? Are other supplies going to say, I love you? Or how are they going to respond? And I was like, no, don't die, because I want to have more fun with you. I tried to keep it light and friendly and casual, right? You lost a narcissistic supply. I didn't play his game correctly, because on that mass text that I'm sure he sent to his other supply sources, I hope I don't die, great white shark. The supply source that won that round of Narcissist game show was the one that was like, I love you, you're so hot, the most handsome man in the world, or whatever that supply said. Won. And I could tell I was being emotionally discarded. So if you can tell you're being tested with these little silly things that are so, it really is children. It's like a child, unfortunately. It's like a child throwing a temper tantrum. If you can feel that, like, oh, you're testing me to see how much I care about you, to see how I measure up to your other supply sources. So if this is a friend, they'll, compare you to other friends. If you were the best friend, if you responded quickly, if you did this or that. So they test you, and you can feel that. You can feel if you're going to be on the discard. I took some notes here because this stuff, I swear, gets you in cognitive dissonance. I can't even speak. I can barely speak, okay? These pretzels are making me thirsty. Okay, have you seen that, Seinfeld? It's a funny one. Okay. Moving right along. Oh, of course, they start devaluing you. That's classic. So I could also tell, because we were on these trips, he's like, take a lot of pictures, hun. And so I was taking some pictures on the beach or whatever, but nothing like in my bikini shirt. And he was like, why aren't you taking pictures in your bikini? Why don't you take a bikini? Why don't bikini? And then, of course, the new supply source, one, ding, 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 she took the bikini shots. So you can tell that you're being tested in that way, and they'll devalue you for not doing. See, you're not playing the game that they wanted you to play. I wasn't taking the pictures that he wanted me to take. So they weren't good enough for him. So he had to devalue it in this weird kind of way. You might think like, that's not really rude, but I promise this all boils down to energy. And this is how you gaslight yourself, because I did the same thing. You're like, no, nobody does that. That's ridiculous. He's not testing me and my response about him dying with great whites against. But the fact that you would have that instinct, yes, that's what they're doing. I never have those instincts with other people. I've only had those instincts with narcissists. So don't gaslight yourself. That's what they want you to think. Nobody thinks that way. They do. They think that way. Okay? That's the game they're playing, that you're not playing according to their rule. And really, you don't want to. You really don't want to. This stuff, I swear, I start talking about narcissists and I start sweating. I know, it's super attractive. Okay, So number 4 is they aren't paying attention. Again, another example. This guy was like, let's go out on Friday night, Friday, Saturday. Or he was mentioning Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And like the last time we saw each other was on a Thursday. But on Tuesday, I was like, so are, we still on for Thursday? He's like, oh, Thursday? Thursday. See, and I was getting ready for the physical discard too. So some of this is emotional, but the same symptoms happen. So even if they're emotionally discarding you and you live with them and you have plans, they'll suddenly forget about the plans. Like total amnesia. I mean, he had just mentioned it, and not just once, not just twice, a few times. And then when I mentioned it, he was like, oh yeah, no, what? Thursday, Friday, my schedule's changed. What's my name? Who am I? Oh, new supply. I've already gotten my new supply in position. I forgot about you. I've already emotionally discarded you. What a nuisance you are right now. And that's how they feel, and you'll energetically feel that. Don't gaslight yourself. If you're feeling these weird spidey senses about this stuff, it's real. Every time I've talked to a friend who's been with a narcissist, they had these spidey instincts. Spidey insects. It's like the narcissist insects crawling all over you. You have these instincts, but you gaslight yourself. Be nice. Don't be so untrusting. Not everyone's like that. No, not everyone is like that. That's true. But a narcissist is like that. And when you're feeling those instincts, it's because you're with a narcissist. Because otherwise you wouldn't feel that stuff. You wouldn't feel that weird thing. So they completely stop paying attention. They stop paying attention to what they said. They'll forget important things. I've mentioned that before. They'll forget, like, if your first date was Mexican, they're like, do you like Mexican food? You're like, that was our first date. They're like, oh, right. I'm getting all my supply mixed up. So once they've emotionally discarded you, they have amnesia. They cannot remember anything about you because now they're getting the new supply intake. They're trying to mirror that new supply, and now you're just an interruption. You're like, you are so in the way right now because I'm trying to mirror this new person and you're coming in and I'm forgetting and I don't know what's going on. I need to discard you. I need to emotionally and or physically discard you, says the narcissist. So that's what's going on in their minds. So that's when they begin to gaslight you. I never said that. What? I just said yesterday we go out Thursday? No, I never said that. I don't even know Thursdays. I've never had a Thursday in my life. Thursday exists? Is there Thursday? Are you sure there's a day of the week called Thursday? I think you're pronouncing it wrong. I think it's third day. I jest, but you get the drift. That's how far they'll take it. So that you're in this brain fog. You're in this cognitive dissonance going, wait, this person was just charming me yesterday, saying they missed me, they wanted to have plans with me, and now they're acting so shifty and weird. And then you might turn it on yourself with that cognitive dissonance and go, I must have done something. Yeah, you did. You didn't answer that stupid text correctly. So the other supply won. That's all that happened. You didn't play their game correctly. You were just a natural, normal, organic, genuine human. And you're not playing the narcissist game. So you're bound to fail at that. And they're going to emotionally discard you. Because they want you playing at their game at all times. They want that control over you. You must know, even though they're changing the story, they're changing the marker all the time, you have to be smarter and know they'll blame you for everything. They'll blame you for abusing you. Okay, so yes, that brings you to number 6. You'll begin to doubt yourself. Because now you're so confused. You're like, yesterday you said you missed me. Nothing happened. Did I cause the narcissistic injury? I didn't answer the text correctly. I didn't wear a bikini. I mean, it's crazy. That's what they do to you. And then now they're off in Aruba with the new supply and could care less about you. Or they physically discard you and they're like, I can't wait till you leave because I'm so excited to bring in the new supply. You are so in the way. So number 7, they'll begin to act really distant. If they haven't physically discarded you, they will just act very distant, cold. If they were all over you intimately, they're gonna not be at all, barely wanna even hold your hand. And this could be immediate, from within minutes or the next day. I mean, it could be very drastic, cut and dry, black and white. They will discard you emotionally and or physically, but this is definitely a sign when they begin to act very cold and distant. Number 8, not present at all together. So they begin with the distance, and then now it's like a different person is looking at you. You don't know who this is. You're like, what did I ever even see in this person? It's just blackface, cold, distant, shifty. They're gone because they are gone. They have no identity now. They can't mirror you anymore. They're needing to mirror that other person. They have to get that supply source from the other person to have an identity. So the reason they're distant is because nobody's there. They were never there to begin with. So once they've emotionally discarded you, they're not taking on your persona anymore. They're gone. That is a sign when you see that. You often hear this with narcissism, the black face, or black eyes, I mean. It's like their eyes just go black. They're gone. Even if they have blue eyes, gone. And it is like they go into the dark. They vanish. And that is number 9. They ghost. They disappear. It's like any idea of them was a memory. So if they stay physically, they're just a ghost of a person. They're not present. They have left the building. That's also what can happen to you if you have to be with somebody like this day and night and you just start going gray rock all the time. There's dangers in that because it's like you turn into that. You leave the building. You can do that if you have to do it in little doses, but if you have to do that all the time, that's why no contact is really better for your own mental health. And then number 10, they will blame shift. When the sign of emotional discard is it's all your fault. So if it's a friend, it's all your fault. You just didn't reach out. You just didn't do that. That's why they're distant. You didn't remedy it. If it was an intimate relationship, you just didn't do, whatever, or they'll make you a demon or whatever. They're going to do the smear campaign. They're going to blame shift because they've emotionally discarded you now. They'll say, oh, she's just not in a good place. He's just not in a good place. They're not healthy or whatever it is, so that they can go off with their new supply. Whether that means they're having an affair if you're married, or whether that means a new boyfriend, new girlfriend if you were dating them, or new friend, replace you. This is how you can tell if you've been emotionally discarded. But here's the thing about it, is that it's never really a discard physically or emotionally until you take your energy back and say, I'm not going to keep feeding that anymore. So the reason I'm talking about this is not to stay stuck in it and to stay stuck in victim consciousness, but to finally come out of the brain fog and to talk about it enough until you go, oh yeah. And the more and more people talking about this all around the world from different platforms and different voices, it's really exciting because then you go, wait, this is all the same. This is the narcissist playbook. So I can begin to look for the signs because they're not going to say, hi, I'm a narcissist. But there are signs that you can look out for. They might say, do you think I'm a narcissist? I've had a lot of narcissists say that. And there are other signs. So watch the other videos that I have linked so that you can be in knowledge and in power. And then like, subscribe, comment, and share so that we can send this message out into the algorithm, because energetically, that doesn't just help you, that helps me, that helps everybody. And the more voices talking about this, the more we can step out of cognitive dissonance and be truly empowered so that you can use your gifts and talents and share them with the world. Because when we all do that, we create peace on the planet. And that's what I'm up to. And I think you are too. So thank you so much for being here. You matter. I'll see you next time.